One of the tips I shared last month when talking about what to revise or how to revise when you are drafting with AI tools was this use of the word I. And it's one of the things that I really love to talk about, how we use the word I in speaking and writing and why it matters. So I recommended as one of the tips that you be careful about how and where you're using the word I in the writing that AI generates. And the rule of thumb is in writing, in business writing, workplace, professional writing that you're doing in order to communicate tasks with other people in your job, is to try to use the word I for anything you are going to be responsible for. So you're using I to say any actions that you have taken, like I called the client yesterday. That's an action that I took yesterday. So I called the client yesterday and I will update their file. So you're using I for actions you have taken or will take, and to communicate accountability and responsibility for those actions. What we want to try to take out of our business writing is the use of the word I around thoughts and feelings. And this feels really backwards from what we were taught in probably middle school when sharing, your feelings. You were taught to say, I feel X when you Y, right? So I feel bad when you laugh because I tripped or whatever it is. Okay, so when we are talking to each other in conversation, we each get to occupy the speaker role, which means when I'm talking, I use the word I to refer to myself. But when you're talking, you get to use the word I to refer to yourself. And in a conversation, we swap who is I. And so it clarifies the speaker position. The word I is used by the speaker when they are talking, and it shows who is the speaker and who is the listener. The listener is you. What happens in writing? Everything that you write is already coming from your side of the conversation. There isn't this turn taking. Okay, so it's all my side of the conversation. So the I is implied. What that means is that every sentence that I write is coming from the speaker, the I voice. And when we write the word I, we are then emphasizing our part of the conversation. So it's not like, I know that you're thinking about what kind of event we want to host for our customers this spring. That I know, right, is now like holding the space of the speaker. Where if you just cut it out and you say, we're thinking about what kind of event to hold for this spring, or let's think about, or here are some ideas. When you take out the I know or I think or I believe, everything you're writing is still coming from that I voice, but you're reducing the focus on yourself. And you're shifting the focus of the language, of the grammar, to the task, to the thing. And this generally helps us read better, so it's easier for the reader to see where the critical information is, because that information now shifts to earlier in the sentence, and people aren't reading, they're skimming. When they're skimming, if they see a lot of I know, I think, I believe, I'm wondering, I'm hoping, they tend to skip over that because that sounds like something that's about you, not like something that's about them or what they need to be doing at work. When you delete those I think, I know, I believe, now you're shifting the sentence to talk about the work, the task, the thing. And so it becomes easier for the reader to see what's on the agenda, what needs to be taken care of, because they can see the object, the work object, instead of your thoughts. Okay, so I want to be really clear in this video. My suggestion this month is not to penalize people for being human. We are all human. You should have thoughts, you should have feelings, you should have beliefs. All of those things are valid. And I'm not saying like don't ever talk about them. No, totally talk about them. But when we are writing in order to get other people to do things, that framework makes it harder for the reader to find the work that needs to be done. So, if you want to make a message at work more effective, you can remove those I know, I think, I believe, I'm wondering, I'm hoping, I'm following up, I'm checking in, all of those I-focused beginnings, sentence beginnings, delete them and start with the work so it's easier for your reader to see what needs to be done. Some of the pushback is that feels too direct. It doesn't feel polite. It doesn't feel nice. And I understand we have a culture of corporate writing that is excessively lengthy in order to try to be as nice as possible. But the fact of the matter is that doesn't work. People aren't reading. And that's why you have to send multiple messages asking and reminding and checking up on and following up on, because people aren't reading. So I'm not trying to get you to be mean. I want you to say hi. I want you to say, thank you for your help. I want you to call people by name. I want you to add personal details to your messages so that you're building a relationship or maintaining a relationship with the people that you're writing to. I want all of those things in your message. But I also want fewer I think, I know, I believe, I'm wondering, I'm hoping, I'm following up on, because they're just creating noise in the message that is making it harder for the person on the other end to figure out what they should do to help you. Okay? So, writing, we try to remove the things that are making it harder for the reader to see what the ask is. And one of those things is looking at how we construct sentences using that I. Hope this is helpful. Try it and see what happens.